On this episode, Fight for Your Rights, Fashion Passion, Artist Spotlight, and Book Club.
Let's talk about it.
Welcome back, guys. What you talking about, Willis? I'm your host, Via. You can call me V, and it's Legalities. Fight for Your Rights. Let's talk about it. So, I have been going through this ordeal with the employment discrimination, racism, intimidation. I was sexually assaulted on the job. I was verbally assaulted on the job. I dealt with coercion, fraud, you name it, negligence, lots of negligence. And on the other side of it, when I was finally told that I should go, instead of them rectifying the problem, I found myself being blacklisted from the job market. And so we're going to go into that. I have been talking about this for a while. I haven't gone into specifics and details, but I am getting ready to start really kind of displaying what this looks like and why it looks the way it does. I want to pause real quick and just apologize for my space. This is not my normal space, and I am running for Congress, or God willing. That is also another issue that will be discussed if I am unable to do so. It will be because of this case, and but fingers crossed that all works out as it should. And I am going to have a new setup relatively soon, so I am so grateful for the patience and the follows and the likes and the subscribes despite circumstance. I experienced this horrible thing with my previous contract, and understanding that I too am a business, and I was told to go. I did everything I could as that was happening to facilitate a smooth transition. I understood that they were not dealing with the rapist. I didn't know if it was because they could not deal with this person because of blackmail or whatever. I didn't know if he had dirt on them, and so they couldn't turn him in. I didn't know, and I didn't care to find out. I needed to get the hell out of Dodge. I was in medical school. I was pursuing my naturopathic doctorate. Plus, I was looking for another job because my plan was not to go into school not having contracts to fill. Like I said, I was planning on continuing the status quo. I, again, owning my own business, can't pull back my hours and let my team go and give them more work, hire more people. I have that flexibility as an entrepreneur. And so as I continued to move forward with my life, I was in therapy dealing with this travesty that happened to me as best as I could. I am not downplaying what happened. I am saying that because I am a survivor, because this has already happened to me, I understand the notion that comes with women who have been abused, raped, or taken advantage of more than once. There is a macho mentality that will say, well, it's your fault. There must be something wrong with you because it keeps happening to you. And truth be told, I didn't do anything wrong except refuse to be raped. Okay? So I chose the route I chose because I am ridiculously private. It is actually, some would say, painful. I don't think it's painful, but some would say I am a very private person, and I do not like to put my pain, my misery, my whatever on display for the world to have to experience it with me. What a low vibe. Ew, gross. Anyway, so I was doing the next best thing, keeping my vibe up, trying to fulfill what I felt was my purpose at that point in time, right? Let me say, caveat to that, not so sure that's my purpose. Still trying to figure out what the hell I missed yet again. So I was at a medical school on my naturopathic doctorate program, and I realized that I was going to have to pause that and deal with this situation. This situation was not going to be something that I could deal with and fight while pursuing my doctorate and trying to keep my business alive. I understood that very quickly. I was forced to make a decision, and it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made. I cried, and I'm not the woman who's going to just bust out into tears because you said something that hurt my feelings. That's not me. I'm not going to bust out into tears because I broke an arm. I cried. And so as time progressed, I started, following the proper channels. They have a clause in their contract that we have to do mediation should any type of legalities arise. And so I did. I ensued the next best option, which was the EEOC, for any mediation that was needed. When that happened, my mental health went straight left. I won't even try to hide it. I won't try to disguise it. But one, I was being brutally stalked and hacked. My financial accounts, my emails, my business accounts. I had to close out, multiple bank accounts. I opened another one, had to close that one out due to fraud. This was persisting. My email was getting hacked. Like, all of my stuff was being compromised. Some of the stuff confidential. I am an entrepreneur. And I was very much afraid for my safety, and concerned for my business, concerned for my well-being, my son, my family. Like, I was just in a distressed state, and that is putting it mildly. My mental health took a very, very hard hit, and I was not able to function the way I needed because I had to take a step back from life and focus on my health. I had to make sure that I was going to be in a position to fight this honestly, with good principles and good morals, and not lose my mind in the process. So when I tell people that I did it like this, I'm not saying it because I recommend it. I'm not. It was hard, and hard is not the word. I ended up finally, through therapy, talking to someone. I am a board certified counselor. This got so bad, I had to bring in external help. I had to bring in therapists. I had to get medicated. I had to do the next best thing for me in this situation because everything I knew to do was not working. And when I realized that what my therapist was saying was accurate, I needed to see my life without my IT career. What would that look like? What would it look like without this fundamental piece of your livelihood not being there anymore? Because I do have other things that I do. It's not like it was going to break me and I would not ever survive, but it is something that I rely heavily on, and it would have a drastic impact on my quality of life. So when my therapist said that, again, I sunk into another, my mental health went left. I was finally feeling a little better. I thought, I'm like, the therapy's working. And then she drops this bomb on me, and I was like, and I knew she was right. But I needed to figure out how to cope with it and how to deal in a way that was going to allow me to transition out of a role that I've done for almost 15 years. So, of course, I got medicated. I wanted to make sure that my mental health was not the reason why, when I chose to do this the way I did, anyone would have something to say about me, because I was not feeling well for a very long time. Not that I was ill, but my neurodiversities, I do not typically suffer from chronic depression, but I have had bouts of depression. I do suffer from chronic anxiety. And so there are a number of things that I have to deal with day in and day out just to ensure that I am executing the way I need to. I have to make my accommodations so that my life can flow the way it needs to. I decided to engage in pro se at almost a 2-year mark, because at that point I realized that this was something that I wasn't just gonna, surprise, magically get better on its own. I was gonna actually have to fight these assholes. And so I did. If I could be a doctor, why can't I be a lawyer? Whatever. So I started writing these documents. In 2025, with AI being what it is, with Google being what it is, the law loves to term people like me, people like, everyday citizens, and people in jail as laymen, because it says that we do not understand the law, its intention and implication and process to a degree that would allow us to leverage the judicial system the way we should. And I shouldn't say that the law says that, because it's really not the law, it's the interpretation of the law by several judges. And I'm calling bullshit. Because in the day and age of AI, of Google, which means I have every law book ever written at my freaking fingertips, How can you tell me that I do not have the resources to execute my own case? So, what is the point? The point is they don't read pro se cases. Sorry, cut. Okay, what is the point? The point is that I did begin this tumultuous pro se journey, understanding that there are a lot of people who end up incarcerated, end up dealing with some kind of legal issue, and they never have the opportunity to actually speak for themselves and fight for themselves. And sometimes they don't have the opportunity to fight at all because they can't do it for themselves and they can't afford to do it with an attorney. And in this day and age, that is obscene. How dare we treat American citizens like this? So as a person who has been in and out of different systems, volunteering with KSBJ prison ministries and other things, I felt obliged to see how I could help, not just people who are in the system, people who are outside the system and just don't feel the need to have to go hire an attorney to write up a document that I can do myself and tell the story better than you ever could. So I did. And what did I learn? They don't read pro se documents. How can I say that with such a surety? Because when they were summarizing my documents back to me, they did so incorrectly and with numerous errors. I had to drop a grid in one document referencing page numbers to where I had actually completed the requested tasks so that people wouldn't even have to read the document. You just have to turn to that page and find it. And they still didn't do it. So we're going to go on this journey, and I will tell you how bad this actually was so that you understand why I'm taking this to the Supreme Court. Next, fashion passion. So, Labor Day, and the question is, do you wear white after Labor Day? What is the origins of this tradition, and why is it so important? According to history.com, the exact origins of this rule are murky, but we do know it's coming out of New York, where you could say new money was vying for a position with old money, and old money established fashion rules that were kind of secret and inside club rules, such as wearing white after Labor Day. Not forgetting to add that white is a cooler color in general, given that it has its reflective properties. So is it okay to wear white after Labor Day? Well, truth be told, it's okay to do whatever you want as long as you're a law-abiding citizen. So I'm not here to tell you yay or nay. I just know that this girl right here wore white yesterday, wearing white today, and you might not see me wearing white for the rest of the year. Till next time. Next, artist spotlight. Caitlin Raps. So when I started listening to her, she only had 300,000 followers, and she is very quickly amassing a large following. I highly recommend to any rap enthusiast. She definitely has her own style. She stays true to herself. The authenticity, it seeps through her bars. So Caitlin Raps, I fucks with your girl. Next, book club. This month's book is The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoyevsky. He has also authored Crime and Punishment and The Brothers Karamazov. I love The Idiot because it is a book about a young man who is perceived to be ignorant. He comes into a lot of money, and as we can all imagine, the story unravels. There is betrayal, there's a love triangle, there's infidelity, there's all kinds of mischief, and of course murder. You can't actually go wrong. It is available in book platforms. Google Books has a free link to the written version. I will drop it in the description box. And Audible offers a free listen to the book, which is my preference, with a trial membership. The trial membership is also free. So drop it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for hanging out with me. And remember, I love you.